Very fetching bob hat on you today, Carl. I'm liking that bob hat, brother. Yeah?
What more do you need?
I lost my favourite hat at the Liverpool Christmas market. So
Do you know, yesterday...
What a massive teddy though.
Yesterday morning, I went... Stop it. Yesterday morning, I went out for a coffee, right? I was in Gdansk yesterday. It was minus 12, okay? I went out, my missus had her earmuffs on. I went out without my hat. By the time I got to the coffee shop, I literally could have snapped bits of my ears off. It was absolutely, my head was like thumping. I was walking the last few yards with my hands over my ears. So, oh gosh, it was cold.
Gdansk.
It's
a really fun word to say.
in
I just wanted to say it.
northern Poland.
That's very cool.
Sorry? I was there yesterday. Yeah.
He has a fabulous line.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 4 of Big Onion Radio, and we are in a new room. So we've got the business centre, the Big Onion next door, and we are now actually in the Big Onion itself, in one of the side offices, and Carl's been in really early getting set up. Thanks for your patience, Carl, everyone behind the camera, and welcome to our wonderful guests. We've got Isaac and Michala from Living Well Sefton, and they're going to be telling us about their fantastic work in a second. But Lizzie and Chris, my fellow guests, my fellow co-hosts, how are you both doing?
Oh yeah, I was just thinking before we came in, feel a little bit discombobulated because we're in a different room, and the amount of people that are in this room now is slightly growing. So yeah, but good. Other than that, starting to get into the January spirit. Did you know that today is actually Blue Monday?
Well, it doesn't feel like Blue Monday to me because this is the best Monday start for me ever.
All I was going to say is, Blue Monday, Evan had a win on the weekend, Tim. 1-0 win against Villa.
I can just see all the Liverpool fans pressing stop. So, we love everyone here, every football team.
Liverpool, Tranmere, Stockport County, all of them.
Yeah, all of those. Where the River Mersey starts, isn't it, in Stockport? So yeah, we're all about people and place here. We're about lifestyle, culture, health, business, community, all the good things that you want in your community. We've got such great guests on today. It's been a few weeks getting them on, but it's Monday morning. They're giving up their valuable time. Michala and Isaac, how are you doing today?
Yeah, not bad.
Good stuff. So, do you want to tell us about Living Well Sefton?
Yeah, so Living Well Sefton is an umbrella project. It's funded by Sefton Council, Public Health, and the mission of it really is to improve the health and well-being of all residents within Sefton and overcome health inequalities. We all know, again, just the amazing work they do in the Big Onion. We've got Strand by Me just down the road here in Bootle Strand. There's a lot of people facing a lot of challenges, I think, since COVID, with the cost of living crisis, just economically, socially. There's a lot going on for people. And I feel really, really lucky, and I'm the Deputy Programme Manager for Living Well Sefton as a project. And I feel really lucky to be part of it because all of our teams are tirelessly trying to work to help people overcome the challenges and the barriers that they face. So we have 5 key partners under the umbrella project. So we've got Brighter Living Partnership up in the north, which is under Southport Community Centre. We've got the Netherton Feel Good Factory, and we've also got May Logan in Bootle. And they all have funded team members effectively, which we call our Living Well Sefton mentors. Now, what is amazing about those posts is that anybody can refer into them. So you can go onto our Living Well Sefton website and you can refer yourself into today if you want to work with one of those mentors, and they will literally work with you one-to-one to support any health and well-being goals that you've got. So it might be you might want to lose a little bit of weight, or you might want to just improve your physical activity, or you might, again, a lot of us are sort of having issues around just managing the world. It's a really, I think sometimes, you're looking outwardly at the world as well. There's a lot going on in the world, but also what's going on with yourself or your family. That can then create a situation where you're feeling a little bit anxious, or you're, just needing to find better coping strategies. Again, our mentors will work with you. And they are based in what we call our healthy living centres, Brighter Living Partnership, Netherton Feel Good Factory, and in May Logan. We've also got 2 specialist partners, and again, we've got funded posts within them as well. So we've got Sefton Carers Centre, which is just on South Road down in Waterloo. amazing organisation, and we're lucky enough to have 2 people who are working there. And then we've also got the Citizens Advice Sefton. Again, we have welfare benefits advisors that work there, because again, I think all of us recognise when people are struggling financially, often that can then impact all aspects of their life, mentally, physically, etc. So again, we have those roles funded within Citizens Advice. So that's the sort of the core activity that we have. We're really lucky that we also have our amazing community connectors. So Isaac's here today, who's our North Community Connector, and we have Amy, who is our South Community Connector. So I'll just let Isaac tell a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I work in the North, which is Southport to Ainsdale. And what we do is we work in social isolation, loneliness. So just as an example, if we had somebody get referred into us, which can be through adult social care, a self-referral, you could refer a friend, a family member, whoever, we'd initially have a conversation with them around what their interests are. So the idea is getting to know them as a person, what makes them tick. Do they like going and, visiting venues that maybe have animals, or, do they prefer going and just having a coffee with like-minded people, that sort of thing. And then what we do is we try and get their interests and what they're into, and then try and reflect that on where do I know in the community. So Bright Living Partnership, for example, do a really nice community coffee morning. We then try and maybe refer somebody there and say, we can meet you there, and that, or we have volunteers as well who can meet you at the venue and make you feel welcome, which the Living Well mentors will do brilliantly already. But it's someone who can go in and sit with them, and maybe it can be quite nervous, anxious for somebody going into something for the first time. So we can do that too. It's a really, really nice service, really, which has, done incredible results in trying to help people, who are struggling to get out, particularly around the winter time. When people are really locked away and stuff. So yeah.
Brilliant. I've been into a couple of these hubs as well, and people are really helpful, really warm. It can be hard for people to get across that threshold to take the step in, but it's great that you can self-refer and be referred by others as well. And a lot of it is about just getting this information out there, and that's what we want to do at Big Onion Radio, support all this stuff, because people need it. We all need other people to help us in life, and we all need to work together, and when we do that, we're always better. So I think it's great what you do.
I was going to say, actually, it's so one of the core activities for us to connect people. I think, we've spoken on previous episodes, about people living, quite lonely, isolated lives, and how those numbers of single-person households have massively increased. I think I read a stat a while ago that in the last 30 years, it's come from 1 in 55 households to something like 1 in 10, 1 in 9, which is really concerning. And it's really important, I think, irrespective of what it is you want to plug into, that there are places around. And you're right, Tim. Part of our job really is to highlight across the borough and beyond where people can go to connect. And I think it's important then that those places can signpost on to other people.
Definitely.
So this is perfect.
And I think, we're the project's managed by Sefton CVS, so that's who I'm employed by. Sure. And again, I think one of the great things within the context of that organisation, so another aspect of Isaac's job as well, is that he will connect organisations with other organisations. And also we've got a development team as well. So again, where there is any newer or emerging or organisations that have been established for a while as well, but that need that little bit of extra help, we've also got a development team at Sefton CVS who also then goes out and supports.
So that's Sefton Community and Voluntary Service, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's really, again, I think, one of the things that I feel really fortunate about, because as well as those 5 core partners, we also link really, really closely because of the way that we got that under that public health funded project with Active Sefton and also with Smoke Free Sefton. So again, when people come to us, they're then getting a one-stop shop in effect of being able to then get signposted for additional physical activity, support, etc. Or it might be the active ageing program that the Active Sefton do, etc. Or the Way Forward program. There's, I think, that integration of those services, it's a real asset to the borough, and it allows us to just make sure that everyone gets the support that they need. And when Isaac and Amy have got quite a clear remit of what they're meant to work with, and there are boundaries around that, because again, they're not mental health professionals, etc. But what we can do is when they come to us, if it isn't right for us, you know, we've got some amazing projects, amazing programs that the Healthy Living Centres run. For example, Think Different, Cope Differently, which is a sort of coping strategies really program. So it's delivered up to 5 weeks by the Living Well Sefton mentors, and it really teaches people how to manage their mental well-being in a really positive way. But if their mental health needs go beyond that, again, it's about saying, right, okay, well, if we're not the right support, who can we support? And then that may be a referral to another team or for a referral back to their GP to ensure that they are getting the right health support and from the right mental health teams. We're also fortunate, I oversee the social prescribing teams. Now that is GP only referral. It would be great. I think we're probably going to have the social prescribing link workers come and speak to you on a future podcast. So I won't go into too much detail. But again, they will work with people having had a GP referral one-to-one for up to 12 weeks. Again, looking at what matters to them, because we know more often than not, if somebody goes to the GP, particularly with sort of like depression or anxiety symptoms, there's a lot there's underlying issues that are going on, and if you can get to the root cause of that rather than just taking the simple medication route, again, medication may be appropriate, and your GP would determine that. But more often than not, there are social issues or financial issues, etc. Again, the social prescribers then can also work alongside our citizens advice team as well. So it's really, I think, as a holistic approach, the Living Well Sefton programme is one that I think I really feel proud to be part of it. I feel like, you know, as a mission, Force and Sefton Council have invested in it. I think it's really, I feel really proud to be part of it because I know it's about helping people to get the best sort of support that they can. And like you say, you know, Chris, you know, we're just a couple of doors down. We've got our Strand by Me hub here, next a couple of doors down from Big Onion in Bootle Strand. Again, that health hub gives opportunities for signposting. You know, we're regularly sending people in here because we know that you can support them. You know, the community connectors know what you've got on offer here at Big Onion as well, and they can, you know, refer into that. And it's just amazing. I think, you know, we've got that sort of, I think what's great in Sefton is there is a thriving voluntary and community and faith sector that really can see the benefits of what we all do and try not to work in competition with each other, but make sure that the client's needs are met. And that's really, really important to us at Living Well Sefton and Sefton CVS.
The challenge for us, I feel, is, you know, there's lots of stuff going on out there. We're learning about this stuff for the first time. If we don't know and we're working in the game, right, we've got to do all we can to just to make sure that people who do cross the threshold for the first time have got access to information so they can make informed choices. I think, you know, for us, we're constantly, much like yourselves, you know, people come in, it's not the right fit for us, so we're signposting, but we're only signposting to people who we're aware of. You know, there's lots of projects which we're unaware of. You know, there's an opportunity now with you, Isaac, being up in Southport. We've obviously got our Big Onion space on Lord Street there. I think you've spoken to Lisa, haven't you, and the team up there. There's opportunities again. But it's important for us, I think, to make sure we share as much as possible so we can plug people in, because if we don't have that access to information, you know, then we're going to struggle.
Definitely.
Can I unpick it slightly?
Yeah,
so,
of course.
We were saying before about you've told us all about how when they're in the service and everything that you've got on offer. What are you finding that maybe some of the barriers that people needed to overcome first and foremost? So if there's someone listening to this at the minute that's maybe having a difficult time in any of those sections that you've spoke about, have you got any sort of anecdotes of people that you've helped that said this was the moment that it changed, this is how I was able to step over the threshold and get that support?
Yeah, so I think what's important to say about the Community Connector service as well is it's really like low pressure. So we respect that sometimes people will be ready to make the step but not able to make the step. And we are really no pressure. We're a 12-week service, but once that's over or in between, if somebody chooses to want to, you know, be discharged and come back, we can close them and reopen them and they can re-refer in. So there's really no pressure on that element. However, what I would say is, I think what I found is once people have kind of spoken to us and, you know, kind of had that interaction with us, we can organise to do our initial assessment in a venue. So we can, that in itself, we can organise to meet at the Southport Community Centre or any other sense. Yeah, and that in itself gets them out, which is achieving our goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing I'd say. And I think once people get out and get a feel for the different venues and other people, because a lot of the time as well, these venues, people are going because they're maybe struggling with the same thing, they're anxious, they're socially isolated, they're wanting to kind of make friends, and once they kind of mix up around those people, they just get sucked in and they get involved, and it's great.
And we've I mean, again, you know, I can think of clients where they've started out themselves feeling socially isolated. They've eventually become a volunteer.
Wow.
You know, they've actually ended up sort of working within the community centre, or they've become a volunteer buddy. So Isaac will, again, and Amy both recruit volunteers from the community who are willing to meet somebody at a venue and go in with them, because they know they've had that lived experience of how anxiety inducing it might be for some people to step over a threshold. So we'll work with them. You know, we get them all set up. They get trained. The DBS checks are all done. All of the safeguarding's done around the working as a volunteer, and then they can go in and work with somebody. And I think one of the things that we love the most, isn't it, Isaac, is, you know, from your point of view, when you're working with somebody, if somebody comes that full circle, that feels like such a moment, because it really has. It showed that the whole thing really works for them, and that, again, the work that the community connectors are doing with them, it just makes the difference. And the same with the Living Well Sefton mentors as well. You know, we have it quite a lot in the healthy living centres, where somebody will go in initially for one thing, and then eventually they'll be helping to run the community cafe, or, you know, going and doing, when they're doing the cookery, healthy cookery classes, they might then become a sort of assistant, kitchen assistant with it, you know.
So value into their lives, which we talked about last week on the podcast. It's about people finding where their purpose is, and how that might not be a financial or a job or a this or a that. It's finding where in your life that value is added to make you feel whole.
Definitely.
And that sounds lovely.
And I think the other thing as well is, I mean, for some people actually, it is a really good option for gaining employability skills. It's a really good first step. I know you'll be doing the same here, won't you, all the time. And I think where we can give people that opportunity to show, I've got the skills to do this. I've got the people skills to make a room feel welcoming and warm, and I can help people sign it. You know, all those things are things that they can then transfer into a real job opportunity as well. So again, I think, you know, volunteering for projects like, you know, the ones that we've got here today, I think it's so valuable to people, because there's so much, I always say you never don't get, it's a double negative, but you never don't get something back when you give. You know, it's one of the 5 ways of wellbeing, isn't it? Which again we talk about. Something else that I offer as well under the Living Well Sefton umbrella is Make Every Contact Count training as well for professionals. So again, for other organisations, we deliver that as well. So again, if there's any organisations out there that feel that they would like people who are front-facing to feel confident in being able to have those healthy chats that literally then just create a signposting opportunity and then understand where to go. Again, that's something else that we can deliver, because I think exactly as you said, Chris, that actually, you know, we have got a really thriving voluntary and community and faith sector here in Sefton, and it's being able, isn't it, to and know what's going on out there and where the right places are to go. So that's something else, again, it's part of the sort of remit under that project to give that training.
It's probably, as a sector, probably one of our biggest challenges, really, to, yes, the sector's organised, but we could do better. A bit like my school reports, could do better. Yeah, could do better. You know, look, as organisations, we don't spend large chunks of money on marketing and promotion. We perhaps don't network as much as we should as professionals, right? Because quite often those things turn into talking shops. I know we do things differently at Sefton Business Club, and maybe that's a lesson we can teach the sector. But there's some brilliant stuff going on out there, and I go back to that point I made before. You know, if we're not familiar, because I'm sure if I speak to some of the guys here, they won't be, you know, au fait with all the stuff that you guys do when you're 2 doors down. So, you know, we need to get better at that, and things like this, Tim, help.
Absolutely. And I just want to point towards Launchpad. We spoke to Brian in the previous episode about helping 18 to 21-year-olds into work. We've got Sefton Council fully behind what you do through Sefton CBS and all these other organisations. Stand By Me, you can pop in. Those 4 organisations you mentioned earlier, I've used all of them as a service user, a volunteer, and someone who's gone along to those classes. You've got to see what they actually provide. in the community to really value them. And a lot of people might not always know what's going on in there, or might feel like, oh, they've never needed to use them. But one of the things I want to emphasise is we'll put all your notes in the website details in our notes for people to use and to reach out. And I would advise people to reach out, because this thing about social prescription, instead of going to the doctor and saying, take these, go to this. You're literally being prescribed social benefit, which is how human beings click. And you're saying to people, go along to this. Like, we know that exercise is just as effective as antidepressants. If someone can learn those skills and become a dog walker or whatever, to get out there into nature. And we're going to talk about parks later, the importance of parks across Sefton. But it's great work that you're doing, and we want to get this information out there for everyone.
Have you noticed over the years that you've been doing it different in age group now coming to you, or is it? Or is it
Definitely. I think. I mean, again, areas are different as well. Obviously, Southport's got a much higher demographic of elderly people. So again, Isaac would probably, I would say, tend to see
I think,
an
to
elder
be honest,
population. However, it has been changing, hasn't
the
it?
last 6-7 months or so, the demographic for age has definitely dropped, and we're getting a lot of referrals in for younger people. And obviously over the age of 18, between the age of 18 and 25, a lot more neurodiverse people as well, which has helped us really with referral pathways to things that are, you know, for people with neurodiverse conditions, identifying gaps within the sector for people with those conditions as well.
We're seeing in Southport, actually, you're right, Isaac, there's a lot of young people coming forward for our employment support programs that Tim mentioned Launchpad there before. You know, you look at the statistics in Southport, and over the last 30 years, we've got this thing called Youth Flight, haven't we? I think we've seen about a 25% drop in that 18 to 25-year-old demographic, because they're leaving Southport because of lack of opportunity. But having said that, you know, we're seeing a lot of young people who have left school and they're not in any form of education, employment or training, and have got to that point where we're not connected, right? And so again, I think, you know, there is hope there. If we can sort of make sure we tell people more, we should hopefully see that continue. So I was chatting, I was chatting the other day to a couple of colleagues at the Enterprise Arcade there, and you know, there's a podcast studio there, and there's stuff going on with young people there as well. So all of a sudden they seem to be coming out from between the nooks and the crannies, really, to get involved in things.
Just tell us exactly where that is. What's it called, that little walkway through?
So it's not on Cambridge. So it's not on Cambridge Walk. So you kind of, you know where is it Smith's Toys or is it Toy Master?
I think
Yes, Taylor, is it?
It's behind the Atkinson, isn't it? It's behind the Atkinson.
Yeah, it's that new building opposite Subway and just next to.
It's bottom end of East Bank Street, isn't it?
East Bank Street. There you go. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Liz from Kingsley & Co, the magical bookshop in Bootle, here by Bootle Strand. We have loads of wonderful books, all for just £1 each. We have story and rhyme sessions for little ones. You can come and have a relax, have a Crosby coffee, some beautiful homemade cake, and come and enjoy yourselves. It's a really great place to come.
Hi guys, welcome back. At the heart of the surrounding community in the Big Onion, surrounded by me, 2 doors away, the business centre just next door. This is where it's at. However, we do need green spaces and parks and all that. We're going to talk about these now. During COVID, in my life, I love getting to green spaces. We've already spoken about the Atkinson, going to the beach, some of these places, the libraries of Sefton, which is important. We're going to talk about parks and green spaces. Now, I love taking my lads to Southport Botanical Gardens once a year because it's a bit naughty about the birds there, the lakes. Absolutely love it. And it's a key part of mental health. So what are your favourite green spaces? What stories you have to tell about green spaces? Maybe wrinkling in the doorway, turn there into share.
Well, I'll just jump on because you talked about Botanic Gardens, so we'll stick there for a minute.
Yeah.
So Botanic Gardens for me is a childhood memory. So I would walk to school through Botanic Gardens for my entire pretty much primary school years. Because the back of the Churchtown Primary School backs out into the Botanic Gardens. So we used to walk the two dogs through the park, say goodbye, in you go. And then what I thought was almost sort of, I don't remember the word is serendipitous. However many years later, I then taught there, so I was able to then walk through the park to work, which was quite a nice little thing to do. So I think when I moved away and I went travelling. And I'd been away from Southport for over 10 years. Moving back, I was amazed at how many people weren't talking about the landscape of the town and how much there is there to walk around, walk to, walk in. You know, I think there's five parks, something like that. Botanic Gardens, Hesketh Park, Victoria Park.
Minimum 3.
There's loads in all
The quiz question go.
In terms of parks and gardens, you know, I think if you think about the evolution of parks and gardens, we're very fortunate, I suppose, in the city region. It's a green, you know, region, isn't it? Right? You know, I live in Prescott. I've been fortunate enough to climb some of the higher buildings in there, look around, and you just see. Yes, you know, it's relatively densely populated, but we've got so much green space in this region, and Sefton in particular now, 22 miles of coastline, and lots of green spaces. I think green spaces have been hard to manage or have become harder to manage, and I think, again, step forward, the third sector, the voluntary sector. You know, local authorities get a fair amount of clog, right, and I've given them a fair amount of clog in my time, but I will say, you know, a lot of green space has been retained, and they changed tack in terms of the way in which they work now with, you know, private organisations and third sector organisations to use those parks. Because as you said, Tim, green space is vital to our, you know, to our daily lives. One brilliant thing, and I'm not a runner, but one brilliant thing that has brought another use of our parks is parkrun. You know, Crosby has an amazing parkrun. There's a couple in Southport.
Yes, there is.
Is it Hesketh
Park, and then there's one out in Kew.
Yeah. You know, I was in Gdansk on the weekend, right? And I don't do the parkrun, it's probably gather, right? But it was a snowy parkrun, right? Wow. And there was a guy who ran with no shoes on, by the way, which was a bit crazy. But there we go. And another one with no top. And it was freezing. But I think
the apps flaunt them.
There's been a real renaissance on Saturday mornings with hundreds and hundreds of people, you know, getting out there. There's a real sense of community with parkrun. I say I'm not a runner at all, but that's just one example of how parks are sort of changing and the use of parks are changing. Maybe say about Lewis and the group that you did, the walk.
Yeah,
so you used parks there, didn't you?
We did, yeah. So Lewis and I, along with two others, Danny and Chloe, we run the Level Up Network. It's basically a walking networking. But we didn't want it to just be businesses only. So if you've got kids and stuff like that, they could come because it was a walk. It was walk and a talk. We wanted to be able to walk side by side, talk about your life, who you are. And we didn't want it to be like sales pitching. We just wanted people to be able to develop their own community and build their business, build their brand. And we tend to walk through King's Gardens, so around the Marine Lake, off down to the seafront, along the seawall there, and then back in. And then we stop at a different independent coffee shop at the end each time. So trying to bring that business and having that cycle sort of through. But walking through King's Gardens. King's Gardens is run by the Friends of King's Gardens, and then I know Green Sefton pitches in and helps out. But that, I think, is maybe, depending on the time of year, it can be anything from 3 to maybe 10 people that keep that entire space.
It's amazing.
And there's a lot of people that, you know, really coordinate that and make that work. And then I know that there's a lot of friends of in Southport. So there's friends of Rotten Row and
North Park Collective.
Yeah, they're really.
I was going to say, you did Rimrose Valley, didn't you?
Yeah, we did with the volunteer centre. We did a Rimrose Garden Valley, is it? Litter pick, and that was really, really good as well. Little volunteer taste today. For anybody who would be interested in volunteering, was able to come down and get involved. It was a nice little gesture to clean the. It's a massive garden valley. I think it's like 3 kilometres long or something.
It's on the threats as well, but they've kept it now.
Yeah, and what was really good is all the locals who were using it, whether they were running through, cycling through and stuff, would stop and say thank you. And that was really good. And you kind of get like that just off the cuff, like sort of community feedback, you know, and it's nice to see. So yeah, that was really good.
Another thing I think about parks as well, though, right, is, you know, you can go and visit. You don't have to put your hand in your pocket and spend a lot of money. No. You talked before, Isaac, about screen time for young people, and it's very topical at the minute now, isn't it? You know, talking about this potential ban for under 16s and this, that and the other because of lifestyles. Yeah. It's amazing. I've 3 kids and a couple of grandkids now, but you take them to the park and they might have a bit of a hissy fit initially, but once they, outside, hang on a minute, but once they get into it, it's amazing.
No,
and you don't have to spend money, do you?
I absolutely agree with you. I think I've got mine are older now, sort of older teenagers, and one's off at university, but they actually turned to me recently and said to me, do you know what, we are so grateful to you. She said they said, because we know we didn't make it easy. And I thought, what a recognition, you know, they're at that age now where they can see it, you know. Actually, you know, limiting screen time and having those, but again, I feel very blessed because we live in an area, and when I do the MEC training, when I do the Make Every Contact Count training, one of the things we look at is the 5 ways of wellbeing, and staying active is one of them. I talk a lot about with physical activity. Walking is free. Now, again, I'm saying that, and I also appreciate, you know, maybe if you wanted to, you know, you're living in Seaforth and you want to get to Ainsdale Beach, there might be a cost in that because you've got to travel there, etc. But we are really lucky in all areas of Sefton that we do have beautiful green spaces. We've got amazing volunteers, as you've all mentioned. Also, you know, sort of enhancing the sort of the baseline that Sefton Council can afford to do. They're enhancing it. You know, we feel really lucky. I know in Ainsdale Village, we've got the Friends of Ainsdale. There's everywhere has got little teams of absolutely incredible people. Again, if you go on the Volunteer Centre website on Sefton CVS, you can look for those opportunities as well and send yourself. You can set. You know, you can get yourself involved in that. And I think that's one of the things that when we're looking at staying active, if you haven't got, you know, a lot of money, or you can't necessarily get access, you can go outside, and there are some beautiful, beautiful parks right the way across Sefton. And I think it's just always encouraging people to look in their own backyard and
make a butty.
You know, absolutely.
Make some squash.
This is it.
Go to the park and kick a ball around.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be a full-on, you know,
Absolutely.
sort of massive picnic. It's make something,
Absolutely.
you know, decent food, take it with you, and have fun.
When you get there as well, I always think inside, I go, I forgot about this place. And you got kids and dogs, it's a reason to go. But I remember during the lockdown, I went to the match and was rolling down some of those test streets with no trees and no gardens, and I thought there must have been sort of lockdown here. But I just want to say to Silcox Field, which is now called Oromel Park near my house, to the old Aspinalls Field that we used to call it as you used in April Century, to Rimrose Valley where I used to cycle. There are green spaces there. I mean, I reckon you need 5 minutes in green nature a day, and just looking at it, even in screensavers on the computer, them beautiful places, you reckon you need 5 minutes, watching out, improves your mood. This is not just about living a life, it's about being healthy. And I just can't say to people who know what's going to build.
Well, I was going to say one of the other five ways of wellbeing is being present. And again, I think when you're being present, I mean, again, I go to the woods quite a lot for that, you know, and or like you say, a local park, just sitting on a bench and absorbing the atmosphere, the colours, your sense, all of your senses are brought to life, aren't they, in these spaces? And I think those things, again, they're helping to bring down your nervous system. You know, we're living in quite a time when things can feel like you're in this sort of hyper-vigilant space for a lot of people, that they're on the high alert for danger, and and actually if you go and sit in those spaces, you realise actually, let's get some perspective and just see how we can feel present and just enjoy that green around yourselves.
It is something as well that we're prepared to fight for as well. I said before, I live in another borough. Our park at the end of my road was under threat. The council wanted to sell it off. It wasn't theirs to sell, by the way. It was actually bequeathed by somebody for the council to be the custodians of, and people fought.
Yeah.
The council leader resigned as a consequence of it. And what's wonderful now, if you look in that particular park, there's a local football team that has actually taken on, cutting the grass, marking the pitches. They've got a vibrant boys, girls, younger people, older people network there as well. Yeah. And that park has been updated since. There's new changing rooms on there now. So from a point where it was going to be sold for housing, right, to now, a few years on, where people were hanging banners on, saying, down with the council, and, take this park off us and there'll be a revolt. I actually marched.
I was going to say,
I marched
sure
on the town
you were
hall.
in the middle of that.
I didn't have a placard. But, people are prepared to fight for the green space. They're really, really important. We talk about services all the time and we perhaps forget.
Well, it's what Tim just said as well. It's about back to the health inequalities. It's not all equal, from borough to borough, from ward to ward. There are differences in what type of green space you've got access to from a housing perspective. I've always been really fortunate in my life that I have had an outdoor green space in my back garden. Lots of people don't have that. If you've got, a balcony or if you've got a small yard, it's not the same. So those public green spaces are so important to us and so important to the mental well-being and the physical well-being of all of the people that live around them. So I think it's a really good point that you make.
I will say in that
particular,
fight for. I will say in that council's defence, they did listen and have invested now more time and resources in that park, because it has got such a vital space.
I just want to say as well, we need housing, we need affordable housing. We do these on Barfield sites, because I'm not saying it's an easy thing for councils, but we do need to preserve these green spaces, because that's what binds us together. It's also a great way, as you said, about just getting mindful, breathing, relaxing, turning off those iPods, and it's what it's called?
AirPods. Why do they do with you? Headphones.
I'm just saying.
Walkman.
Yesterday, my son, who has got limited screen time, I play Sonic the Hedgehog with him. I might approach the Sonic the Hedgehog, not changed in 32 years. Go really fast and press jump every now and again. So there's a little bit of a space for that, but green spaces, get out there and enjoy yourselves. Don't get the email for Big Onion Radio is radio@thebigonion.co.uk. We want to hear from you. All the details will be in the notes. Easter, and I'm going to go out on a Monday to save the world. So thank you, Michala and Isaac.
Thank you.
Take the bit out about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Bit of a throwback game, that, isn't it?
Cheers.
Thank you.
Have a break. Hi guys, welcome back. Just had a short break and done some changing of the chairs as it is. it's a really good time to be involved in this project. I think, you know, it's going well. And one of the key reasons it's going well is this guy at the end, Dan Kirk, who we're going to introduce in a moment. But I just want to remind everyone about our email, which is radio@thebigonion.co.uk. Get in touch if you want to come on, tell us your story, or give us some feedback. But this guy's been along for the ride right since the start. Dan Kirk of, let me get this right, Kirk Media Works, and all the details will be in the notes. So Dan, tell us about Kirk Media Works, a little bit about yourself and why marketing is important.
Okay, so yeah, Kirk Media Works, it started really a year and 2 months ago. It was actually through Chris and Expanding Horizons that I started. Oh, we're going back now, aren't we?
Oh gosh.
I already got a shout out in 30 seconds.
But yeah, basically it went from nothing the first 4 or 5 months to me starting to get a bit of traction, got testimonials, got case studies coming in, and then it's just snowballed from there. Going all over the country, filming adverts, and then we stick them on advertising platforms. So basically we're a bespoke marketing company in essence, mainly paid advertising, and then we can subcontract out for organic and different types of media needs. Now, from that, it's just grown and grown and grown, and I think it's really important for companies to start using paid media, especially professional services, which is what we specialise in. Yeah. So we send out a film crew, we film a video advert, which could be anywhere from 5 seconds to 1.5 minutes long, and then we put it on, whether that be LinkedIn, Meta, Google, TikTok, and convert those impressions, those views into leads that convert for them 9 times out of 10.
So who's your ideal client? Who do you have most that kind of come through your door for this type of work? Is it independent, small, bigger businesses? What's your...
We've got a large plethora, really. I mean, it could be a big financial company, it could be a professional services like a cleaning company, it could be anyone really. But we do prefer using or going into the market of financial service providers because I love a challenge, and FCA compliance is hard. So I like that challenge, making sure that it can convert and execute in the right ways. I love that challenge. I think it's really important though, because a lot of, especially within professional services niches, they don't market themselves. They stick to referrals, networking, and it's not sustainable. Yeah. Although it's a good way to bring in leads, but you can't grow much from that. You can get a couple of clients, but really marketing is needed. Yeah. And as soon as someone realizes that and gets it done, their business goes from here to here.
Yeah, you're the guy that's taking them to that next level. Yeah. You're the one that's sort of opening up those doors and basically showcasing their business then on that sort of social media platform that can start to be seen nationwide, worldwide.
Yeah. So we're mainly like paid ads. We don't do the organic posting. We don't do scheduling. We basically just put paid ads, traffic, and then that brings in clients and brand awareness. Yeah. So any of your marketing needs, we'd do it, but we're only on the paid side, not the organic.
Right. I suppose, looking at the clients that you've had and now still have, marketing is a really diverse sector, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? And probably lots and lots of businesses aren't familiar with some of those evolving sort of trends and new opportunities. And I think one of the things that you've done is shown them another element of that marketing suite, because there's no one size fits all. No. It's multi-channel, isn't it?
It's an open blueprint which is repeatable in every single business you come across. So,
sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, and it's measurable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. You say about your testimonials and stuff, you're able to pull on one without obviously saying names where you've increased their business by an X amount or...
Yeah, so we were working with it was a will company. Basically, they just sold wills and like legal
yeah, like wills and probate.
Yeah, that's it. So we did one of those companies, and they put $2,000 behind it. We filmed them an advert, and within 3 months, I think we generated about $30,000 for them.
Wow.
That's good.
That's really good.
I sometimes get emails from people saying, your podcast's really good. If you give us this amount of money, we'll guarantee you this in a certain amount of time. To what extent do you need to be careful about where you're going with marketing, etc.?
So I think there's, especially in marketing, there's a lot of people who promise the earth and deliver nothing.
Yeah.
And whether that be from production, they'll say, oh yeah, I can do all of this. And then when you actually have a look at what they've produced, it's mid-ground. It's not luxury. It's not really, really good. It's okay. But they've promised the earth and delivered nothing. And it's the same in paid media as well. So if you're sticking ads on, whether that be static video or carousel, on LinkedIn ad platform or Meta, Google, the analytics, the optimization, the management of that campaign is so important. And unless you have someone who knows what they're doing with that, you can get scammed quite quickly.
So you not only create the content, you then put it out on the right channels?
Yeah, so we do the whole pipeline. So the production, the editing, the approval, the post, and it gets live on all the advertising channels, and then we manage and optimize that campaign to convert.
Brilliant.
Great stuff. Great stuff. It's a very interesting area.
Yeah.
I think it's one that's growing as well.
Absolutely, and I genuinely also feel that for smaller businesses, they're the ones who could probably benefit the most from just being out there a little bit more and shouting about. I said about the sector before with the guys from the CVS, you know, that we don't market enough, and if there are measurable returns and that entry point is quite economically favourable, then, you know, more and more organisations, small businesses, small social enterprises should get involved in stuff like this. I'm not saying it's panacea, because there's lots and lots of different ways in which I think, you know, we need to promote and market, but there's definitely an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's where, when you mentioned about being scammed, I think that's why a lot of small businesses, because, you know,
You're right.
a lot of the time those first couple of years where your kind of insights could be invaluable, that's also where a lot of businesses are hand to mouth in terms of food and not food, in terms of money and cash turnover, probably food as well. But yeah,
We're out the business card,
literally.
stick it on the tax expense.
But then having to sort of like put their faith into something, and that's why I wanted to ask you about that testimonial, about that specific sort of percentage point, because I think if a small business is looking to put, you know, X amount into it, you know, there is going to be a return that comes back from that.
I'd say yes and no. So you'd be silly to think marketing is 100% every time. It's not guaranteed. Marketing is never guaranteed. All you can do is you can test, you can learn the data, and then you can use that to the best of your ability. If something doesn't work, you keep an eye on it, you bring it down, you put something new up, you give it a testing phase, then you optimize again. So
I love that honesty though.
Well,
That's real. That's real.
important.
There is a lot of trial and error, and I think for any marketing campaign as well, from the outset, you know, you've got to try and assess what success looks like. What's the expectation? I know there's an action, right? But what reaction are you expecting? And are you quite, you know, able to deal with potentially that reaction as well as a business? Because, you know, kindly mother again, you know, you only get one chance of making a first impression. And so, you know, with any marketing campaign, and I know Dan goes over this with his clients, there's got to be an expectation of what does success look like? What are good results? And can we as a business cope with what comes back so that we can, you know, work with those customers, do a good job for those customers, retain those customers, and get them to come back and spend a bit more with us. That's you know, the ideal, isn't it?
Yeah, and that I think goes with organic social media growth as well. If you're bringing in somebody to do your social media for you, those questions are key, and they should be asking you those questions. It should be at the forefront of, well, what are you trying to grow your social media for? And if you can't answer those questions, then you're not ready for somebody to do it for you. You need to figure it out first, because otherwise you are just paying somebody to grow organically with no means to an end.
Absolutely. And there are some horror stories as well. You know, going back a good few decades, you know, was it Hoover? If you bought a Hoover, you got an American flight. you got a flight to America. Well, whoever came up with that one in marketing was like thinking, okay, I'll go and buy a Hoover and I'll get a flight to New York You can see where we're going with this, but yeah, that one crashed and burned, and there are lots and lots of examples of that. So that realism, and I know Dan again will go over those kinds of expectations, because there's a pressure on the business as well.
Yeah.
You know, increased phone calls, all those kinds of things.
I think it's really interesting that you brought up that point, because so many industries now, because they're so regulated, you've got to be so careful in the CTAs, the promises you make. So for example, financial services, you can't promise anything. You can't even say, oh yeah, you're going to get this back. You can't do it.
No.
You can't do it. Literally, it's just about trust. It's about building the trust, and then that brings the clients. You can't go and say, oh yeah, okay, get this offer with this offer. There's no offers involved.
Sure.
Because it's that regulated, that strict.
Yeah.
You can't touch it.
Would you know what, we're going to share the details in the notes for the episode, but you've got small businesses, enterprises, you get the networks, bit of social media, you know, people pass on that you've been good, but it's then about what you do for that next layer. And I think if I spoke to you and you went through that with me the way you've just done it today, that would be a massive help to me in terms of trust and saying, okay, I'm not going to do this and then all of a sudden milk and honey is going to come my way. It's about testing it, seeing what works, and looking to expand that way.
Yes, by all means, ABCs always be closing.
There you go. Cool. Any more questions on marketing?
No.
Okay. Hey, good luck whatever it makes. Thanks for all your help with the podcast behind the scenes.
handshake. Thank you.
Cool.
First handshake feels like
There we go.
First handshake on camera. Right, cool. Dan, you can stay on if you want to.
staying on, mate.
He's gone.
Oh God,
Dan usually goes over with his laptop.
Ella.
Yeah, close the deal. Close the deal.
Always be closing.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on, Dan, and it's just great to get you front of camera. We are going to get Carl front of camera when we've got someone who can do the camera work as well, aren't we, Carl? He's just on. Can we hear your voice, Carl? Yeah. Right, famous Seftonians as well as Dan Kirk. We've got. I've got 3 for you today. Okay. Do you know the famous model maker Hornby came from Sefton? Frank Hornby. He was the inventor of Meccano, Hornby Model Railways, which even I bought a set for my lad. Dinky Toys, and he was also a Conservative MP. I think it was for Everton back in the day. So Frank Hornby actually came from Sefton, or what is now the Sefton area. We've also got Dame Beryl Bainbridge, who was a bit before my time.
Bainbridge.
Yeah, she was called by the Times one of the 50 top writers since the war. So she's big. She was a acclaimed novelist who wrote psychological fiction, which is quite a successful genre even today. And also, we've got George Davies. Do you know George Davies? He is the fashion designer for Next. He does all the George stuff at Asda, and also Marks and Spencer's, and he's still with us.
Can we get him on?
Nice. George, if you're watching, Aaron, if you can get George Davis on, who does George at Asda. We've got Aaron behind the scenes now, our little connection.
Just some freebie clothes. That's all we're asking.
We'll.
Some of us need a fashion maker.
If anyone who's watching, if you want to, we can talk about your models. So anyone in Hornby will advertise your models. And George Davis, come on, we'll try all your clothes out, won't we? We'll get Dan to market it. And, we'll go from strength to strength.
Big onion catwalk.
Big onion catwalk. I'll leave that one out, I think. I'll leave it to Lucy.
Send it with a strand.
Absolutely.
Build a stage along the strand.
Right, now, it's time for the quiz. I've lost track of the score now. I think it was 6-4.
We're winning.
I think it was 6-4. So I'm going to hit you with some stuff. Try not to look at my notes, please. I'm just going to angle this. So, this is the true or false section. Now, in the 2011 census, the percentage of people in Sefton who were ethnically considered white British was 91% in Sefton. White British, 2011, 91% on the census. Is that true or false?
I'm gonna say false.
Yeah, round.
I
thought false.
I probably think going back 15 years, because they start measuring prior to 2011. I'd probably argue the proportion of white British was higher.
Right.
Oh, really?
So I think white British would be higher. I think we're much more diverse now, 15 years on, for a multitude of reasons.
Yeah.
But I think back then, I think the proportion was higher than 91%.
I don't know.
Yeah, you were right. Yeah. So it was 95%, and you do say Sefton traditionally, although things have changed a lot. The Polish community in the North End, and also Bootle South Sefton is much more diverse now. When you walk around, you're hearing a lot more. Because in the early noughties, I know Liverpool, you walk around Liverpool, lots of accents and languages, but you know it's now. I
thought it'd be less.
There's another fundamental issue, I think, right here as well, is if you look at property prices, where lots of people traditionally settled when they came through the ports for whatever reason in Liverpool. They settled in South Liverpool, so around Toxteth and the Dingle and places like that. Property prices are higher now there, and so people are migrating, right, you know, to North Liverpool and South Sefton, and so I think that's one of the factors, but property values.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amongst other things.
Okay, following on from that, in a 2011 census, the second highest main language in Sefton was Polish in 2011. Is that true or false?
I'm saying true. I'm saying true. I think true.
Dan's going true.
Does Scouse count as a language, Tim?
We're going to call that English today. I often joke with people I can speak 3 languages, a bit of Spanish, a bit of English and a bit of Scouse. So there you go.
I think it's true.
So you're going with true?
Yeah.
I'm going to give him my vote.
A little aside, because we're a very sizable Polish community in certain towns in South Wales, and Llanelli, one of the villages.
Sorry, what was that?
Clean that up in a little while. Or as you lot up here call it, Llanelli, right?
Oh, wow.
Llanelli used to be called Llanecki because of such a sizable Polish community there. I'll stick with my learned marketeer friend here and say then it's true.
And I'm going to remain on the fence.
Okay, yeah, you're right. A4, it is true.
Yeah.
I was trying to make out that maybe the Polish community came after 2011, but it was well established, particularly in Northern Sefton and Southport. And when I was a teacher up there, I learned a few Polish words as well. So
I was thinking of the 2012 London Olympics then. I had no correlation.
Yeah, there you go.
Interesting fact, the Merseyside Congolese Association is based in Bootle.
Yeah.
How about that?
Just down the road there.
Shout out to my friend Petronell, who I've known for many a year.
Cool. And the last one, the Southport Flower Show is the second largest independent flower show in the UK. Is that true or false?
Surely, because Chelsea's number 1.
Well, I'm not saying anything.
I thought the Southport Flower Show was number 1 for years, and then Chelsea kind of took over.
I think there's 3 main ones, aren't there? There's Southport, Chelsea, and then...
Isn't it Nescardis?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm not up on my flowers. Just like
I'm not up on my flowers.
Lizzie, we're gonna go with...
Yeah, I'm going to leave the vote with
If
you.
you're listening and I've got this wrong, I'm really sorry. What was the question?
It's the second largest independent flower show in the UK.
I think that's true.
Okay. It's false, unfortunately. But you're still winning A5. It is actually the largest, but I was surprised with the Chelsea Flower Show, yeah, because...
Alan, well done. I just think
Well done, Southport Flower Show.
And crucified.
Factor.
I think that's a good question. But anyway, I got the point, so I don't care. Can I just say, all joke on the side, apparently in 1870, around then, it was the first time people acknowledged that there was a Scouse accent, because before that, it tended to be a Lancashire accent in Liverpool. And it was a lot of Irish immigrants coming in the mid-1800s, Scottish workers and also skilled Welsh workers. So that from Llanelli is also part of the Scouse tongue when we say chicken and things like that.
I think I was a bit concerned when you mentioned 1870. You looked at me, right? So there's no need there, Tim. Come on.
Well, there you go. So apparently,
There's very much a swinging age range on the dress now.
the Scouse accent built up around the docks, and it was very, very restricted. But it's interesting as well, you can go from speak to witness on the train, all of a sudden, language changes. And then when you get up to Formby, although you can go into Southport, you hear a lot of people with a Liverpool accent, and then you hear a lot of people with a Lancashire accent, you get all that diversity, which is all great because we're also about community cohesion in Sefton, and we have had some terrible tragedies recently that have impacted community cohesion, but we're all about bringing people together and being diverse and sharing our successes. So, well done everyone for now being 8-5 up on me and Dan. I'm not happy that you helped them with one of the answers, but you are our guest. Okay?
You're allowed in wants to be a millionaire, so phone a friend.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
No, no.
Yeah, but that you know that suggests that he's got some mates, you know, and so.
I know we don't have any mates. I'm just saying we just happen to be nice.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned
I'm
before.
always a subscriber when okay.
I have mentioned before, Bootle was the most heavily bombed part of the UK in World War II. I've got some stuff about World War II, which I'll do in next.
We'll
do next time. Not now. We'll save that for our next episode. Right, people who are watching, please like, subscribe, share. We're on Spotify and YouTube, and we want to hear from you. I'll double check that I get this correct. It's radio@thebigonion.co.uk. Please
What was that again, Tim?
radio@thebigonion.co.uk. But thanks everyone for watching. Anyone want to say anything before we finish?
No, just thanks, Tim.
Thanks,
For
Tim.
some good questions, and I will go in do some research.
Do some research, yeah. But
Some great guests today.
Yeah.
Thanks to Dan, thanks to Michala, thanks to Isaac. It was great to have them on. We've got some great guests coming up in the weeks ahead. So please like, watch, share, subscribe. radio@thebigonion.co.uk, and we'll see you in a while.
And also schedule this to watch when you would have been watching the news on TV, which can be quite negative. We want you to be informed, but there's a lot of pessimism out there at the moment, isn't there? Cool. Right, see you soon on Big Onion Radio. Please get involved and let's turn this into a big, big success because, you know, we're always better when we work together. Thanks, folks. See you later.
Bye.
Have a big wave, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.